Right. So the objective is to, yeah. Right. Okay, cool. So we're up and running. Right. So once again, just good morning to everybody. And just make sure I have everybody on the roll. Right. 11 of you all there. 11 of you all here. Right. So we're missing Mara, Jonica. Jonica might pop in. She popped in a bit late last week. So I don't know if it's that they're trying to sort out the SBA stuff. Hopefully they'll sort it out quickly and get back to us with that. Right. Yeah. So like I was saying, last week we took a look at job costing. This week we're taking a look at its upgrade or the improvement on it, which is something called activity-based costing. All right. So I'm going to I'm not going to read off it. So that's not my style. You know me, right? I'll type it out, talk it through. But I just trying to open up a file on this next computer here, and I don't know what's going on. Yeah, so last week we talked about job costing. Now, at the heart of it, always remember, when you are calculating or compiling costs for a job, right, or for a unit of output, we always have three components of costs. What are those components? Direct materials, direct labor, and all other costs being the overhead, right? So, of course, we are considering ourselves to be in a manufacturing environment. And in a manufacturing environment, right, remember, we are not buying finished goods to resell. We are making the goods. And if you're making goods, the first thing you're going to need, well, depending on what it is you're making, will be ingredients or materials, right? If you're making a cake, anything to eat, you need ingredients, right? You need rice, flour, sugar, water. If you have any secret ingredients like vanilla essence or cinnamon, whatever it is you're making, you know your thing, right? I think I was telling you all, I keep clicking on stuff on Instagram that have to do with cooking, so I keep seeing more and more that in my feed now. Yeah, that's the cough I was telling you about. Anyhow, yeah. So, what was I saying again? Yeah, so of course, well, I want to try and, yeah, learn to cook some of those things. But yeah, so you need the ingredients. And of course, if you're making things like cell phones, you're making clothes, you're going to need parts and components to do so. And then those things don't just magically compile themselves together and turn into a finished product. No, chances are you're going to need a human element to put those things together in order to be to convert it from raw materials into a finished unit of output, right? So whether the person's, like if you're making these t-shirts or you're making clothes, they're probably going to need their equipment such as sewing machines, maybe even just plain old needle and thread, depending on what it is, right? So to that extent, of course, we have a machinery aspect now, right? Now, those things, those other things that the human element will use, those things aren't considered direct costs, right? The materials, the raw materials and the labor involved in converting the raw materials into finished output, those costs are considered direct. And there's a third category called other direct costs, which I like to call intellectual property rights, such as license fees, copyright fees, trademark fees, and a few other things, right? So sometimes, for example, like down here, KFC, Pizza Hut, Burger King, Wendy's, all those fast food outlets are not local. They don't originate in Trinidad. They originate elsewhere. And of course, to be able to use those internationally recognized symbols, you have to pay for that, right? So companies down here, I know Prestige Holding is one of them, and you have other ones, right? They will pay for the rights, they'll pay the franchise, they'll buy a franchise, and they have to adhere to certain stipulations in their contract as to how to run the particular place and the processes and these kind of things, right? Anyhow, so you have intellectual property rights as part of your direct costs. So you have three direct costs: materials, labor, and, as I like to say, intellectual property, right? And then you have the other costs. Like, for example, for me, right, to have my class, especially to have it online, I need a laptop. I need an internet connection, right? It would be nice to have microphones and cameras, cool, all that fancy stuff. And all those things, yes, are directly involved in me creating my output, which brings us actually to the discussion of service costing, which I wasn't prepared for today. But it adds an interesting dimension that without these things, I would not be able to make my finished output. Right? And of course, on these non-current assets, you have depreciation. And depreciation is conventionally classified as an overhead because you don't see, like, for example, if you were making those clothes or you're making the phones or whatever the case is, you don't see machinery on the final product. I mean, okay, fine, if it's a phone, but not the machinery that was used to make it. You don't see a piece of the oven in the cupcake. You don't bite into a Subway sandwich and get, piece of the plastic or whatever it was. Although that happened to me once, but Anyhow, that's a whole different story. So yeah, so we do have these little incongruencies, little discrepancies in terms of classification sometimes, but that's why we're at the A level to discuss those things. Because, sorry, my brother's calling me. Yo, what's going on? How's doing it? Because I know it's at my class. Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, send it now. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. So, like I was saying, so we have these components, of course, direct materials, direct labor, and overheads. So we saw last week with job costing, what we did with the overheads, we took the total estimated overheads, divided that by the total estimated volume of the cost driver, right? The cost driver, what was the other name for it, boy? Wow, my brain. Yeah, this week my sleep has been very bad. I had a couple of airport runs. I had a midnight one on Wednesday into Thursday, and I had midnight last night too. So yeah, some things not kind of slipped my mind. So if you all see me make any mistakes, you have any questions because I said something weird or something not adding up, let me know, right? But I think things should run relatively smoothly. Anyhow, yeah. So, like I was saying, right? So we have this criticism of job costing where the overheads, we group them together and we assume there's one cost driver. There's one thing that causes all the overhead costs to be incurred. Our simplifying assumptions were that we either had a capital-intensive production environment or a labor-intensive environment. All right, Jaden. Jaden, DM me on Instagram, no? We'll talk there. I can't talk right now. Sorry, in the middle of our class. Yeah. So, like I was saying, so that was the criticism. We either assumed a labor-intensive environment or a capital-intensive environment. In the labor-intensive environment, we assumed that direct labor hours cause the overhead costs to be incurred. Now, that could very well be true for quite a bit of them, right? But maybe not all. And then in the case of the the capital-intensive environment, we assumed that machine hours were the cost drivers of overheads. Now, clearly they could be the cost drivers for electricity or power, for maintenance, for depreciation, cool. But what about stuff like cleaning? What about stuff like maybe the cafeteria? What about all those other overhead costs that don't seem to be directly correlated with the number of machine hours, right? So those things just kind of go along for the ride, which isn't necessarily accurate. And last week we saw the concept of overheads being either under applied or over applied, as in we either applied not enough, in which case our jobs were under costed, which could be a bad thing, right? Or they were over costed, which means they were priced too high, which also could be a bad thing. And that has to do with the fact that the overheads and the cost driver volume that were used to calculate those overhead application rates were estimated. And estimates don't always line up with actual costs incurred at the end of a particular length of time. So that's the risk you take. So they develop their little workarounds. Like I said, they have these journal entries they use to try to sort out those things. And we said it wasn't always the most accurate thing to do, because the more accurate thing to do would be to send somebody under or over absorbed overheads to work in process, finished goods, and then cost of sales, right? But we also said that depending on the nature of the costing environment, it might be very difficult to do that. And then we had a further counterpoint, which was that, because those calculations and the logic seemed to be a bit beyond us, it wasn't cost effective to try to do all of that. It wasn't significant enough to warrant the effort. As they say, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, right? But now with AI, right, we're pretty sure that problem might be sorted out at some point. I think it's just a matter of time, all right? Anyhow, so we have this criticism of job costing. So not the workaround, but the modification to that is, let me pull up a question so I could show you, right? The modification to that issue, right? And I want to do 2019, but 2019 is actually one of the worst. Actually, no, it's not that bad, right? So what we see in here, right, is with Lucas. Now we did 2019 for job costing last week, right? And what we see in here is that the company has 4 categories of overheads as follows. So you have inspection, ordering, power, and maintenance. And you have these activity drivers, which is basically what causes the costs to be incurred for the activities. So for inspections, is number of inspections. It could also be inspection hours, for ordering is number of orders. Remember we did EOQ, economic order quantity, back in term 1, so that's kind of what they mean there, right? Power, kilowatt hours, right, or machine hours. To me, that could be machine hours, but clearly there are things other than machines, like the production machines, driving the power costs. Right? Sorry. Sorry, and then maintenance, and they have machine hours driving maintenance. So, okay, cool, but maybe it could be maintenance hours as well, right? So, long story short, what we do is we take, so just like how with the OAR, we would take the estimated overhead. So like here, what we did last week, we added up all these costs, right? Sorry, give me 1 second, I'm gonna check some stuff there. Yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, we added up all these costs, right? So 430 and 80 is 510, that's 1290, so I think 1640, and we divided by machine hours, right? So we did that, we got an overhead rate, and we applied it to the cost here, right? And I am going to pull up the job costing file from last week so we could contrast or compare, rather, the value we got today, because this is the question we're going to be starting with, right? Determine the bid price using activity-based costing, right? Now that's kind of like a sandwich of things we have, like steps, right? We have to calculate the rates, right? The activity rates would be found by simply taking the cost for each activity and dividing by the volume or quantity of the cost driver for that activity. So we'll have 4 rates to calculate, and I'll show you how to lay it out so that you could try and save some time and space. And then after that, we're going to apply each of those rates to each of the corresponding items on top here, and that'll give us the overheads. And of course, don't forget, you have 3 components of cost: materials, labor, and overheads. So what's going to happen is we are going to end up with a different costing because we're using a different costing costing calculation method. And we're going to see, how to do it, what it looks like, and I'm going to give you now the logic. So like I said, I was trying to describe the logic there before this, jumping into notes. All right, so we are going to have a little notes now, right? So activity-based costing is an alternative approach to costing for overheads where, all right, so the overhead, cost pool is itemized, right, slash broken up into different activities, right? And then the cost driver for each activity is identified, right? So it's a cost driver for each activity. So basically the activity cost driver right, and right, the appropriate sorry, that word always gives me trouble. Appropriate and appropriation, I don't know why. The appropriate cost driver for each item of overhead is then used to attach, right, each overhead item to products or jobs, right? So what I mean by that is that you're going to calculate an application rate for each activity and then use that rate to attach, right? Sorry, I think I missed a step here. I did. An activity application rate calculated. Sorry, one second, my brother again. Hello? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah. Right. An activity. So the is itemized, the cost driver, yeah, is calculated for each activity, and this this rate is then used to attach each overhead item to attach costs here. Each overhead. Right, okay, yeah, yes, okay. Yeah, that was what was missing from the notes last year. Okay, that's interesting. All right. Okay, so this approach is actually seen as superior to traditional costing. Right, so this approach is seen as superior to traditional costing, which uses only one cost driver for all overheads, as it allows for more accurate costing of jobs / output. Right, the analysis of the production process. Sorry, one second. Right, which allows for the itemizing of the overhead cost pool into multiple activities, right, also facilitates a better understanding and possible refinements of or improvements to, right, the production process, which in turn can then lead to improvements in cost and or quality. All right, so what I mean by that is when they have to go and kind of look at and analyze the, well, like I said, you analyze the production process and you look at it, okay, look, we have these 4 overhead items like we had in the question just now, which we'll be going back to, right? And you look to see, okay, what is driving this particular overhead cost? What is driving that particular overhead cost? When you look at those things and you try to analyze it, you can say, okay, look, okay, well, is this really driving that cost? Okay, no, it's actually this item. Okay, so what's happening here? We have what? We have inspection. Okay, how is the inspection happening? So it requires an in-depth look at the production process. And in doing so, you try to kind of figure out, okay, is this the best way to do this? Is this really working the way we want it to work? Why is this cost so high relative to this? Are we overpaying this person? Can we hire somebody at a lower cost? Will it have the same quality, the same effect? Is it that we're paying the person a lot of money because they are very experienced, very good at their job, and what they do is critical to our process? If so, cool. Because if you substitute, it's like substitute like a second-hand part in a car, and the second-hand part was a bit too second-hand. It might have been third or fourth hand. It was overused, right? So it doesn't do as good a job as a brand new part, right? So you don't want to make swaps in your production process that are unnecessary for the sake of saving costs that might actually lead to losing revenue or even increasing your costs and thus negatively affecting your profit line, right? But long story short, what I'm saying with that paragraph there is that when you look at your process, you look to see what's actually going on. Is it working the best way it can? Can we improve it, right? And if so, cool. And how? If not, all right, cool. Let's continue to monitor, right? Right. So of course, then the more accurate costing of products / jobs, right, helps costs to be recovered in a more effective manner without unfairly burdening certain products or jobs with more than their fair share of overhead costs being attached to them. Okay. Right, that's the end of the notes. Like I said, there was a few short paragraphs, and yeah, alternate time to kind of want to get into the weekend. So we have about an hour and a half to do the weekend. That should be okay. The example should take about maybe 15-20 minutes, and then after we shift gears, and we should get through about 3 questions thereafter, which is good because that's 2022, 2023, 2024. So we'll do the new questions, which I've not done prior to today. We'll do those new questions so you have those solutions. And what I will do is I will send a PDF with the questions, the solutions to the other questions I did last year. and I could also send that replay for you all to watch. Because after today, I actually want to move on from activity-based costing to start tackling process costing, right? Because like I said, ABC is just kind of job costing with extra overhead work. So there's not like a whole revamp. There's not that much we have to add to the work and that kind of stuff, right? So you'll see as I show you. But what I do want to do, just give me 1 sec. I want to actually open up my job costing file from last week. Sorry. So Kimberly, Akim, how y'all done? Right, so we'll put that down for now. Give me 1 sec. I keep forgetting I did this. All right, okay. Okay, lovely. Sorry. That's interesting. Okay, folks. Give me 1 sec. Let me check something here real quick. Okay, so we'll take that out. Lovely. Right. Okay, so can I just Google Meet? Can you guys just give me a quick G if you guys good with the stuff we've discussed so far? Right. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Right. You could type it out. You could unmute and ask your question. Right, whatever suits you best. All right, lovely. Thank you. All right, so that's 8 out of 11. So 3 people have to let me know if they're okay with that kind of stuff. All right. All right, so let's put the notes here. Not sure how they got back there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to I'm going to take out everything. All right, so what we're going to do, let me go back here. And what I'll do is I'll send a picture in the chat. So because I know some of you all like to copy notes as we do it, which is perfectly fine. I am the same way, to be honest, right? But of course, we all write at different paces, and I can't always wait, unfortunately, for everyone to finish copying notes all the time, right? But as you know, you get it here as a picture, and you get the PDF after, right? How to get into the Google Meet, Akim? Well, you have to join the class and pay the fee, long story short. Yeah, you can always DM me on Instagram or TikTok, or email me, and we could discuss that. All right. Okay, cool. All right. So what I'm doing is let me pull up the PDF. Right. Okay. So we did Lucas last week, right? We actually have the question here. Yeah, there's Lucas here. All right. So let's just recap the question. So Lucas Ltd decided to respond to a request for proposal recently published in the media for the supply of product 427. The accountant gathered the following data pertinent to the preparation of a competitive bid. Okay, so again, Lucas is responding to a company wanting this product, and they say, look, send us your costs and we'll decide who we want to go with. Okay, cool. So Lucas is like, hey, we are sending a bid here. So we're going to send in the price. Now, the price, of course, is their selling price. Their bid price is their selling price, which, of course, as we know by now, hopefully, is cost price plus the profit or the markup, which is a percentage of cost price, which we want as our profit. So we have our costs, materials, direct labor, and we have 4 items here. What are those items, right? So it says traditionally the company uses a predetermined overhead rate based on machine hours to apply overheads. The markup on all jobs is 15%. Right, so that's what I was saying. That's after you calculate your total costs, you're going to find 15% of that and add it on to it, right? So traditionally, the company uses a predetermined overhead rate based on machine hours, right? So down here, we have a table showing the 4 categories of overheads are as follows. So we have inspection, ordering, power, maintenance, right? We have the cost attached. And across here, we have the drivers for each of the activities. All right? Cool. So, sorry, I forgot to bring water. All right, I'll go back up and give you guys some work to do. Right, so we were ignoring all these things here because the question said that traditionally the company used machine hours to apply. So we would only be considering this item here. So what we did, once again, is we added these 4 overhead components, right? So 430. So I think I have the, right. So we added the 430, the 80, 780, and the 350. That's what we did here. Inspection, ordering, power maintenance. We had a total overheads cost of 1.64 million, and the machine hours was 200,000. When we divided, we got an OAR or POHR of $8.2 per machine hour. And then now to calculate the bid price, we added the materials, we added the labor, and then the overhead. So we had 2,400 machine hours for the job, multiplied by $8.2 per machine hour to apply overheads. And we added those 3 costs together to get total cost of job 427. And then we found 15% of that cost and added it onto it, which gave us the bid price for job 427. Okay, all right, now, right, what we want to do is we are actually going to do the ABC, the activity-based costing version calculation of this. Now it does require a little more work, but I'm going to show you, but at the same time, it's more but less. Let me show you so you can decide for yourself if what I'm saying makes sense, all right? So what they ask us to do down here, so determine bid price using machine hours to apply overheads, and then using ABC. Now, using ABC has a few steps. So as we just saw in this question here, we added up all the overheads and divided by just this one item, right? But what we're going to do under ABC is we're actually going to take each item of overhead and divide by its cost driver, right? That's going to give us the rate for each overhead, for each activity, sorry, right? So instead of the OAR for the overhead activity rate, I call it the AAR, the activity application rate. You could call it whatever you want. You could call it George for all I care, right? Anyhow, once you calculate it correctly and you use it correctly thereafter, right? So we're going to do that. After we find the application rate, we're then going to multiply each of those rates by the corresponding volume of the cost driver for each of the activities. After we do that and find total overheads, we're then going to add those 3 costs and then add the, the mark, right? So like I was saying, it sounds like a lot, but once you get into it and you get a little momentum going, it's actually not that bad. But enough talk, let me do what I say I'm going to do. So we're going to put that up there. We're going to put this here. All right, cool. So, sorry. Right, so this is 2019 paper 2, question 2, part C, Lucas Ltd, ABC, right? So this is Lucas Ltd, and we are doing the calculation of activity application rates, right? Again, that's what I call them. You can call them individual overhead rates, activity overhead rates. Sorry, give me one. Okay, no, I'll get back to that just. Right, okay, cool. So we have 4 items, right? So we have inspection, we have ordering, we have power, and we have maintenance, all right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take the activity cost, and we're gonna divide by the activity volume, activity driver volume, right? Okay, so the activity cost was 430, 80, 780, 350, and then we're going to divide by the corresponding activity level, right? Activity volume. So 215, 50, 500, and then 200,000, right? Cool. And all we're going to do here, like I said, is divide each one. That'll make sense. Oh, right. I was like, yeah, one don't make sense. Sorry. Right, so in this case, it costs $2 per inspection because we took the inspection cost and divided by the number of inspections. So apparently we had 215,000 inspections. I don't know how that's possible, but I suppose given us a specific, if it's a year, okay, if it's a year and you have like 1,000 inspectors or whatever the case is, or whatever you classify as an inspection. So, okay, right. So again, so hold on, and let me see if I could center line everything here too, right? Yeah, so you took 430 divided by 2. So you have $2 per inspection. For ordering, it costs $1.60 per order. Pulp is $1.56 per, what you call it, kilowatt hour, and $1.75 per maintenance hour. Okay, cool. So that is how we calculate the active, well, what I call the activity application, right? Right. So like I said, the process, the calculation method is the same logic as with the traditional costing, as in total overhead divided by the volume of the cost driver, right? The estimates, but it's itemized, right? So they have to give you the breakdown of the overheads, and they have to give you the cost driver, well, yeah, the activity driver volume, right? Okay, that's the first part. The second part now is we're going to take each of those rates and we're going to multiply it by the volume of the activity, of each activity for this job 427. Right? So again, like I said, it just takes what we did for traditional costing and kind of expands it based on the number of activities. Oh, here's Jonica. All right. Hey, Jonica, good morning. How are you doing? All right. What became of the yeah? Again, sorry I couldn't help. The timing just didn't work out. You all got through with it? So you all got an extension?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, cool. Which one? The extension or you got through it?
Both.
Both. Okay. All right. Okay. So what's the time frame we're working with now? Y'all still need help or y'all sort it out?
Well, right now we just leave him for the teacher to correct it.
Okay.
And we'll see what corrections we have to make.
Okay. So it was like a kind of draft then, and they're gonna give us some feedback.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was not final. So that, yeah, I was kind of worried it was a final. Like it was kind of early for a final. But okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, because she was making it all seem like it was.
Uh-huh. So she was panicking for no reason.
Yeah.
Except Happy New Year. Lord have mercy. All right. Okay, we're doing ABC, activity-based costing. We're actually using some of the same questions we used over the past couple weeks for job costing. All activity-based costing does is it takes the overheads and it breaks up the overheads into different activities, right? And they also give us the volume of what we call the activity, right? So the activity cost, the drivers, right? So for inspections, we have number of inspections, which causes the inspection cost to be incurred. For ordering parts, whatever, right? We have the number of orders driving the cost, etc., etc. So all we're doing is we're taking each of the activities and their costs, and we're dividing those costs, by the cost, right? The activity volume. So each item has a corresponding activity driver, and we divide the cost by that particular volume, as you can see down here. So that's what we've done so far, apart from a little bit of notes, right, which I sent in the chat, and I will send after as a PDF. So that's really all you missed so far. All right?
Okay.
All right, cool. Right. Hold on, did I mark you present? Oh, yeah, okay, I marked you present, right. So we just mission, right, we're missing Amara, Joshua, and, well, Naomi. Okay, well, I'll message Naomi after, see how she's doing. Okay, so now we're going to use the activity application rates to calculate the overheads incurred on this particular job. All right. So calculation of overheads applied to job 427. Yeah, job is job, right? Product, sorry. Okay, cool. Right, so all we're doing, right, is we're taking the same activity the activities, and we are taking the rates, and we're going to multiply those rates by whatever the volume of the activity for product 427. Right. So the activity rate was $2, 1.6, 1.56, and 1.75. Right. And we are multiplying this by the activity volume. Right. So for inspections, we need number of orders. And sorry, number of inspections. What shipping is it talking? Right. And you see that they catch me because they put that first, and that's what I have first. So that's how this catches sometimes. So always read very carefully and pay attention to what you are reading so you interpret it correctly. All right. So activity volume for inspections is 50. Right. For orders, right, that's number of orders. That's 25. Sorry. For power, that's kilowatt hours. Sorry. Right. And for maintenance, that was based on machine hours, right? Right. Oh, a question I get sometimes is, so can we also abbreviate in the exam? I would say use that sparingly and make sure it's not abbreviated to the point of obscurity, that they have no idea what you're talking about. I would think that these abbreviations here are quite obvious, but that's my opinion. And I've never marked keep. I've asked people who mark keep, and they said use it sparingly, right? But you should have enough time to write out those things, because you see, abbreviations is a slippery slope. Sometimes people use it for one thing, they like to abbreviate everything, and it's make it difficult because sometimes it is difficult to interpret what they mean. Right, okay, and after that, all we do is just simply multiply going down, right? 2 by 50 is 100, 1.6 by 25 is 40, 1.56 by 7 is 10,920, and 1.75 by 2400 is 42, right? So these are the overheads applied to product 427. All right, cool. And we could do a little total, and we get 15,260. Cool. All right. Trish will join for maths and add maths. Right. So Trish, maths is Monday, Wednesday, 6:30 to 8:30. Add maths are going to resume streaming that in February. We're doing some statistics now, and I actually have one of my assistants working on that for me because I have another project I'm working on. Anyhow, yeah, so that, long story short. Anyhow, yeah, sorry about that. But thanks for the support, Trish. Right, so that's how we do the application. So again, it's basically what we did for job costing, where you multiply the activity, the volume of the cost driver by the OAR, the application rate. But here, we're just doing it for multiple items at the same time, which we, again, it's asserted that this will actually improve the accuracy of the cost. As a matter of fact, let's check that. It's 15,260 we have here, right? How much we got? Look, 19,680. Look at that. Look at that. As a 4,000, how much? $4,420 less overheads, right? So we have a savings of $4,420 when we use activity-based costing. And what do you think that'll do to the overall cost of the job? It'll bring it down. And when the cost comes down, the selling price comes down as well, which will make our bid more competitive. Let's finish off the question by doing the calculation. I'll send a pic of that whole thing in the chat, so don't worry. I know you might have been copying it down, right? So I will send a pic, so don't worry. You will get it, right? All right, so calculation of bid price for product 427. All right, cool. So again, the bid price is based on the total cost plus the markup. Total cost has three components. Direct materials, which is 50,000 to the top of the screen there. Direct labor, which is 35,000. And overheads applies, right. And that's equal to 15,260. We add that together, we get $100,000, right? And then, so this is the total cost of product 427, and we have to add the markup, which is 15% of the 260, which is about $15,000. And when we add those two together, we get the bid, what did I do? Oh, right. We get the bid price, right? So bid price for product 427, right? Now check this, 115,299, so 115.3, right? 115.3. What was the bid price across here? 120.3. So a $5,000 savings, I guess you could say, by using activity-based costing, right? So activity-based costing, like I said, breaks up overheads, the overhead cost pool. We call it a cost pool, cost pool, right? So it's a pool of costs. So it was, in this case, as we saw, there were 4 costs which they pooled together, right? And in traditional costing, we pooled them together, we got the total, we divided that by what we assumed was the cost driver for all of them. We got one application rate, which we then applied, which we saw across here, gave us 19,680 in applied overheads, right? But in activity-based costing, we break up the cost pool into its individual items. We get a cost for each of the items, the volume of what we determine is the cost driver for each activity, the activity cost driver, and we get an activity rate, right? The application rate for each activity, which we then apply separately based on the volume of the activity, each activity in the job, right? And then we use that. And in this case, it gave us a lower overhead being applied, right? So what happens again, when you pool all the costs together, you have one overhead rate. In some cases, you overcost or over-apply some of the items, and in other cases, you might under-apply it. But with activity-based costing, you apply exactly how much, right, for each item, because now you've itemized it. All right, so I'm gonna send a picture of this in the chat. But can I just also get a G if you guys are good with? No, I'm not asking if you could explain it exactly how I did. I'm just asking if you follow the process and it making sense, right? So if you're good with that, give me a G in the chat. I'm gonna send a pic in the chat as well. At this point, at this juncture, it's a good time to ask any questions you may have, as I'm sure some of you might, which is not a problem. That's again what we're here to do, right? Here to answer, to ask and to answer questions, to learn, right? That's have to remember Form 5s of that too. Yeah. All right, cool. Right, so what we see in here is a bit of a process, right? You have to calculate the rates first, then you have to apply the rates to the volume of the activity, sorry, and then you have to then combine it to get the total cost and if necessary, the bid price, right? That last part there isn't always going to be necessary. In some cases, in some of the questions I saw, because my PDF was only updated to 2019, but I just took a look before class started. I was down here just doing some prep work, and I opened the 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 papers, and each of them had an ABC item, right? The 2021 was a little difficult to, I guess, copy and paste or put, so I put the 2022, 2023, and 2024. So we'll work those, right? If we have time, we'll do 2021. I do have time after class because actually we're having my teacher who works with me, and I think Keisha knows him, Mr. Cooper, he's actually coming to do an in-person Unit 1 class starting today. So I'm not sure how they're going to approach it because we were supposed to discuss all that, but I suppose that will be part of the conversation today. So yeah, anyhow, I'll see if I can do that, even if 2021 even is activity-based costing, right? Okay, so I know I have other things labeled down here, but I'll just hide those things, right? So what I'm gonna do, now I did send you all a PDF, right? At the starter class, it should be in the chat. Let me just double check. Yeah, 2025 ABC questions PDF, right? So that's the wrong PDF. Good thing I checked. Is that a good thing I checked? All right, ABC. ABC PPQ, past paper questions, 2025 version, right? Okay, yeah. So this one. All right. Okay, cool. So let's go up to 2022, shall we? All right, let's zoom out a little bit so we could probably see more, right? Okay, so Allen and Smith invested in Modern Designs Ltd, a manufacturing firm which has estimated the following overhead costs and activity drivers for the next financial year. Okay, so we have activity level. I guess the activity is set up. I don't know why it says activity level. It should just say activity. So I'm going to cross that out because it's annoying to me. Okay, that's not working, so. It's just me being an idiot. Don't worry about it. Right, so activity. Right, so we have setup, cost, maintenance. So setup, maintenance, and inspection. Forget cost. Cross that out too. Right. So setup, maintenance, so when they say setup, like setting up the machines for the production run, right? So the estimated cost is $650 and the volume of activity is 800 setups, right? And you have maintenance, 800,000, machine hours, 20,000. Okay? Inspection, 500,000, number of inspections, 25. Okay, good. Now, overheads are currently applied using direct labor hours and an expected capacity of 100,000 direct labor hours. The company has been invited to bid on a job QP 3514 to manufacture 600 units and has assembled the following data relating to the job. Materials 15, labor 6. So those two are given to us. Now they have the breakdown of the volume of each activity, right? So setup for machine hours, 120. That's going to drive the maintenance. And then number of inspections, 7. Okay, cool. And they have direct labor hours because, let's see. So calculate the activity cost driver rates for each of the following: setup, maintenance, inspection, and then calculate total cost using activity-based costing. All right, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so it's basically, I'm gonna zoom out to like 140, right? Is that still visible? Yeah, I think it's still visible. Okay, cool. Right, so again, you're going to basically do what sorry, wrong file. Yeah, what I did here. You're going to do the calculation of the activity rates. That's actually the first thing they ask for here, right? Calculate the activity rates for each of the following: setup, maintenance, inspection. And as we know, it's just these costs divided by the respective cost volume of the cost driver. Sorry, my bad. And then they wanted to calculate total job cost, right? So after you calculate your rates, right, it's going to be materials plus labor plus the overheads applied. So you're going to have to multiply those rates by these items here, right? Now you can actually shortcut this process if you want, what I was gonna say is you could actually, like for the overheads, you could put each item and put the calculation inside like a bracket. But I leave how you want to present it to you. If you want to use the exact way I did it, that's fine, right? So that's that. So I'm gonna call start. It's 11 a.m. now, so I'm gonna give you, let's say, between 5 and 7 minute head start, right? But of course, if at any point in time you have any problems, questions, you have no clue what to do, again, not a problem. What I saw on TikTok, we listen and we don't judge, all right? That is in effect, all right? So if you need help, it's not a problem. Message me, speak up on the Google Meet, whatever the case is, right? Okay, but I do need a minute because I just need to get some water because I am thirsty, right? So I just want to run upstairs, run back, and then if any questions, I'll take them. But yeah, sorry, so go ahead. I'm going to flush them out. I'll come back. Okay, guys, I'm back. William Martin, George Martin. Hello. Oh, I haven't responded if I wanted. Okay, kind of cool. It's just mini class. Let me put on some. Put up a little bit. Sorry. Yeah. I'm supposed to read in church today, and I remember we have a birthday party to go to for one of her cousins' daughter who turned one. Don't know if I want to go to a 1 year birthday party, coughing and hacking, but the coughing isn't as much as before, thankfully. All right, cool. All right, so and this is water. So that's oh, okay. I can actually put that down now. Yeah, and here they wanted just the total cost. So there's, I'm not seeing, are you seeing a percentage for markup? No, I'm not seeing any. But that's not what I wanted anyway, all right? So, oh, sorry, I'm not seeing the WhatsApps, my bad. Oh, thank you. I haven't seen work from any of you in a long time to correct. I appreciate it. Right, so knock out that. 8, 12.5, right? 8, 12.5. Yes. And then this one would be what? 40, yeah. And then 30. Yeah, very good. I'm gonna give some ticks. Well done. Good work, good work. Wait, you were calling me? Or was that a mistake? Yeah, sorry. I set my phone on silent during class. My bad. Okay. And yeah, you could lay it out like this too. That's no problem. You don't have to use the table, the kind of tabular thing I use. If you want to show it like a math sum, a math progression, that's perfectly fine as well. Yeah, happy with this too. All right, good. All right, so I'll give you the rest of the time until the 10-minute mark, and then I'll correct the question. All right, if you need more time, you could type a T for time in the chat. What? Sorry. I'll go back inside that address now. Okay, cool. Hey, 1111 way. All right, so let's push this up to the top there. Let's pull this one. Right, cool. This is 2022, right? Let me just double check that. Yeah, 2022. Right, so give me 1 second. I think that's somebody here. Yeah, okay, cool. Right, so that's fine. Okay, right. So like I was saying, let's put that down. I'm just gonna repurpose. Just gonna relabel some of these things. So this is Allen and Smith, right? So this is 2022, paper 2, question 2, part C. And this is modern designs, I guess. Okay. Right, so modern designs limited. Right. So the first thing they wanted was the activity cost driver rates, right? So application rates. Okay, no problem. Right. Setup, maintenance, and inspection. Right. So as you could see, they do kind of reuse some of the same items, right? So setup, maintenance, and inspection, right? We could take off this item here. Right. So the logic will be the same. You'll take your cost. All right. So we have 650, 800, and 500. And then the volume, whoa, definitely press the wrong button there. All right. So 800, 20,000, and 25,000. Right, so I think, yeah, so there's just a couple people had sent me some pics, and I think I got those same values there, right? Okay, cool. Right, and then what we're gonna do now, oh wait, did I not? I didn't do that. Okay, that's weird. All right, so right, so let's just actually make those, what's the word, boy? Dynamic. Okay, cool. And let's pull those down as well. No, so that's not what we wanted at all. All right, let's do that as well. Cool. And then the activity, all right, so this of course will have to change for, and of course not for product 427, QP 3514. All right, so QP 3514, job QP 3514, right, lovely. All right, so the activity for each of them now, so setups was 4, machine hours was 120, and then inspection was 7, right? So 3250, 4800, and 140 is what I'm getting. Sorry. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna apply that down here too. Okay, so maybe not that. All right, cool. And then they want the total cost of job, that, right? Cool. Now, they didn't ask for this piece separately, right? So you could include it in the working for that part, or you can show it separate. There's no one right way to present your working with cost and managerial accounting, right? So whatever works for you is fine, right? Of course, once it's easy enough to follow and understand, and of course, provided it is correct. All right, okay, cool. So now we're gonna go up. So calculation of, now this is total cost, right? For job QP 3514 for job QP 3514, right? So materials is 15,000, labor is 6,000, overheads applied is equal to the sum of these three things here. Right, 8190. So total cost of job QP 3514, right? And we don't need anything else below that, so we're just gonna delete that, pull up those rows. No, not that. Okay, cool. All right, so can I get a G in the chat if you guys are good with that solution currently shown there? Keisha, talk to me, what's up?
Chris, the one, the 100,000 direct labor, we would have only applied that to the traditional costing, as in to divide it by the, we don't always do the estimate.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, the direct labor hours.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if we were doing traditional costing, as you correctly said, we would take, right, the direct labor hours is 300. So what we would have done is we would have added 650, 800, and 500, right? So that's 1.95 million. And we would have divided that by the 100,000. So let me show you, for example, what it would have looked like, right? Because that's a good question. What would it have looked like? So we'll take the 650, 800, and 500,000, divided that by the 100,000. So the rate would have been about $19.5 per direct labor hour. And then for this job, it was 300 direct labor hours, right? So then the 1950 by the 3, right? That would have given us the overheads applied. 5850. That's a lot less. So in that case, what would have happened here would have been the opposite of what happened in the 2019 example. Well, the 2019 question, which we used as an example, sorry. In that example, we applied too much overheads using traditional costing, so we would have overcosted the item. Here, we would have applied 5850. Let's round it at 6,000, right? Which is about 2,200 less than we should have applied, right? Because the ABC method gives us a more accurate costing because they break up the overhead cost pool into the items, the individual activities, and use that. Individual activities, individual rates, individual calculations. So it's increasing the accuracy. So yeah, in this case, we would have actually undercosted the item, which could have led to, well, the selling price could have been so low that we might have been making a loss on the whole thing and not even knowing until after. But yeah, that's what you would have done. That answers the question, right, Keisha? That's what you were driving at?
Yes, please.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm just gonna, oh, sorry, wrong button. Come back here. Okay, right, so I'm gonna send a picture of that in the chart. Oh, hey, okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay, sorry. Right. Keep, right. Yeah, you know, the chat has just disappeared. What am I doing? Oh, you have to move. Okay, that's a nice picture actually. Okay. Hold on. Because one of you always tell me to do these screen caps. I keep forgetting that. All right. Hey, it's up to me morning. All right, yeah. I know it's somebody. Yeah. Sorry, I zoned off for a second. That's the sleepiness. Yeah, yeah. Hannah, I don't know if I told you all before. But honestly, don't play with your sleep. I saw another teacher on TikTok talking to his message to the students was that they have to go hardcore right now, right? And it's C6 students. And he was saying 5 hours a night is enough sleep. And in my brain, I'm like, no. I mean, everybody different, eh? But based on like all this stuff I hear, I mean, and again, you don't want to limit yourself. And if you have to do it, you have to do it. But I would not advise that on a what you were looking for here, boy, an ongoing, permanent basis. Yeah, yeah. From a fundamental perspective, that is insufficient on a long-term basis. Yeah, you see, same thing. I can't even think of the words that I would normally think of very easily. All right, okay. So, guys, we're looking at the 2023 question. This looks. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. Evolution Incorporated makes small washing machine parts A11, B12, C13. Right? Oh, you stop saying security work. You doing security work, and you definitely feeling. Yeah, boy, that sleep deprivation is a serious thing. Right, part A11 is becoming more difficult to produce over time because of the complex setup and assembly of the product. Okay, understood. Evolution Inc. currently uses a traditional costing approach to apply its overhead costs based on machine hours. Okay, cool. As the new cost accountant, you were told to review the costing system and collect the necessary information to present at the meeting. All right. Man, say you're looking to quit after 2 days of doing security work. Very well, if that's what you had to do, but do what you need to do. Right. You plan on recommending a costing system that is less aggregated and more suited for product diversity. So, right. So the aggregation they're talking about this. To aggregate means to put stuff together. Right. So what they're talking about there specifically is that the pooling of the overhead cost items into a common cost pool, right, and not itemizing it. And of course, the costing system more suited for product diversity will of course be ABC because it allows you to itemize those overheads and their costs and the volumes, right? So you collected and compiled the following information for the previous year. All right, so production, 400,000, 150, 80. Selling price, unit prime cost. So this is the prime cost per unit. We know prime cost is direct materials, direct labor, and other direct costs. Good. Number of setups, 200, 60, 40. Machine hours, number of inspections, engineering hours. So we have 4 sets of overhead items here now. All right. The following overhead costs relate to the activities of Evolution Inc. Setup costs, machine costs, inspection, engineering, total overheads. 1, 2.7, 3.2, 5. Okay. Describe a named costing system other than traditional costing, which may be more suited for costing the diverse and complex parts. Okay, fine. But we know that, right? Okay, sorry. I had to actually copy and paste the question. It says it's just saying unit overhead costs for parts A11 using activity-based costing. Okay, what they want you to do is to calculate now it's just the overhead cost. Hold on, let me pull back up 2023 so we could see the actual question. Right. Right, so it's the same question, right, guys? Cool. Calculate each of the following for Evolution. So the plant-wide predetermined overhead rate. So that's based on the machine hours, right? That's the plant-wide rate. Unit overhead costs for all three for traditional. Right, unit overhead costs for part A11 using activity-based costing. For 7 marks, right, gross margins for parts. Why do they keep saying parts A11? Like the plural of the word part under traditional and activity-based. Use the gross margins calculator to recommend what action should be taken for it. Okay, cool. All right. So, okay, basically what we want to do is we want to calculate the cost for part A11, right, using ABC. All right. Yeah, let's just do what they ask, right? So we know that we're going to have to let me just this is a CXC, right? So the answer is yes, it is CXC, but it is keep. CXC now doesn't just stand any longer for O level. CXC is actually O level, which is CSEC, the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, and CAPE, the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Exams. So this is a CAPE past paper in accounting, and specifically Unit 2 and Module 2 in Unit 2. So yes, hey Brenda, how you doing? Morning. Right. Okay. Now check this. This is how they caught people. What people did was they just took let's say the setup cost and divided by this piece here because it was just 11. But then when they had to multiply, they multiplied by the 200 and got by the same 1.2 million. So like, what was supposed to do? What you're supposed to do, and what they didn't show you here, how they catch people, is you're supposed to add going across. So the setups is 200 plus 60 plus 40 for a total of 300. So you have to take the 1.2 million and divide by the 300, right? Same thing for the machine hours, inspections, and engineering hours. You have to add going across, left to right, to get a total for each of these lines, and that total is what we'll use to divide each of the costs here, all right? Cool, so I'll give you a couple minutes. Okay, so you're gonna do that, and after you divide, all right, what you could then do is multiply each of those rates by the cost, the cost driver, the activity volume for A11, right? All they want is the cost for A11. Sorry. All the options back in 2007 was biz or science subjects. Was that for CAPE? It was 7? Yeah, well, CAPE actually came on stream in 2001. And a lot of schools were very, very reluctant to adopt it. Apparently with Fatima, well, where I was teaching, they got an incentive of $1 million for the Ministry of Education. And this is something I've been told by a colleague of mine who worked there with me at the time. right? Because the then principal was very resistant to the whole Cape thing. But of course, you know, $1 million at least back then. Dr. Mark Daniel. Oh, right. Yeah, anyhow, yeah, so I taught Cape in Fatima. I think for the last 2 years I was there. Maybe I wasn't there. I was there 4.5 years. I think I saw out one class for unit 1 and 2, and I started as a second class. Yeah, because I had taught the Cambridge for 2 years. I remember that. Yeah, right. And then in the last year, the half year when I was there and leaving, that's when yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, in your specific school, okay. Yeah, you're saying back in the day it was so that's almost 20 years ago, right? That's 18 years now. Well, I could say back in the day in 97, because that's when I was in Form 4, Form 5. So that's almost 30 years ago now. All right, cool. So, actually, I'll give a couple more minutes again just to kind of sort that out, in case anybody needs it. Of course, feel free to send me your pics as you go along, if you feel so inclined. But it'd be good for me to see how you're doing. Never did accounts. Okay, well, never too late. If you think it's something that might be worth your time to do. All right. Okay, let's take a swing at this. So what do they want us to do? They want us to find the unit overhead costs for parts A11. Right, so when they say unit overhead cost, is the overhead cost per unit. But of course, to find the total cost per unit, we would need the cost per unit, we would need the total cost divided by the number of units. So we first need to get the overhead costs for each activity for A11 and then divide by the number of units. So when you say biz subjects, Timmy, what do you mean, like econ and MOB? I know recently they added entrepreneurship and there were a couple other things. I don't know if it was hotel management or whatever it was. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the top there. Right, 2022, let's do 2023, of course, all right, 2023. Let's get it properly. Evolution Inc. Oh, this is just question 2. And this is part B on top of that, right? It's not part C. Hold on, what are they asking here? Okay, 2 part B, right? Okay, so the calculation of the activity application rates. So let's go. So we have 4. So setup, setup, yeah, machine costs, machine inspection and engineering. Oh. All right, so we have 1,200,000 there, 1.5 million there, 500,000 there, and then 1,800,000. Cool, 1.8 million. Right, and then we have to divide by total. So 200 plus 60 plus 40 is 300 for that. 200 plus 150 plus 50, that's 400,000. 500 as 7 is 2,500. And then that's 2,000 for this one. Right, so setup, machine, inspection, engineering, right? 1.2, 1.5, 500, 1.8. Why that looking off? It's 1.8, right? If you all spot anything incorrect, let me know. Sorry, one sec, my wife just said it. Plastic wheat straw, what? Oh, okay. Well, clearly that's not for right now. Sorry, one sec. Straw hats here. Oh, 900. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm now seeing. All right, cool. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Don't worry. That's happened to me too. 75, 400. Okay. All right, good. Good work. Thank you for sharing that. I will actually take out those. All right. Okay, cool. Right. So we have the activity application rates. Okay. From there now, we need to apply it to A11, right? Yeah, we should have done all in all. It was just A11. It's like a bit of a waste of time. Anyhow, that's what the question wanted, so that's what we got, right? Okay, cool. Right. Oh, next one? Okay, cool. I guess not, right? All right, activity volume. So setups is 200. Then we have machine hours is 200,000. And then we have number of inspections is 500 and engineering hours is 100, right? Let me fix these things here. Right, okay, cool. So basically you had to do division. Yeah, division, that's correct, yeah, divide. Right, so 400 by that, yeah. This would have gotten the lion's share. If you think about it, 200 is 2/3 of 300. And 2/3 of this would have given us 800. And then that's half. Yeah, we would have gotten half of this. That's 750. And then we would have, well, this one would have been a lot less. So that's 2.5 as a 1/5. That's 20%. 20% of that. Yeah, it's 1/5 of that. Right, cool. And then the last one was half. Half of is 90 or 900. I'm missing a zero. That's what happened. Right. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. Right. Held up. Had to sum up the figures, then divided by the big figure. Yeah. That's correct. Right. Right. Okay. I think that's it. No. We have to do the unit. So we have to divide each of those by 400,000 now. So each of these costs we now have to divide by 400,000, right? So we have to just kind of reword the calculation. I have total. I did not even realize I had calculation of total. Total. Right. So calculation of unit overhead costs for A11. So when they say unit overhead cost, they mean the overhead cost per unit, right? So all we're going to do is actually take each of these and divide it by the number of units, all right? Now, hold on. You collected and compiled the following info from the previous year. Unit overhead costs for part A11. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, that's what they wanted, so that's what we're going to give them, right? Okay, so we're going to take out that. Okay, cool. So we're going to need this. Right, so Oh, wait, hold on, just now. What do I have? No, oh, no, that's way too much now. So let's do 12. 12, I think 12 should be fine. Yep, that's good. Okay. Right. Okay. And all we have to do here is divide by the number of units, right? Okay. Dumb question. Number of units. I feel like, because they said the unit overhead costs, right? Unit overhead costs. You know what? I'll do a total column as well, just in case that's what they want. That's what they actually want, right? Yeah, I think 10 is better. Right, 400,000, right? All we're doing is dividing. Right, okay, cool. So this is the total here. So if you add up these 4 items, you should get that, right? So 225 and 250, that's 450, 450 and 188 is 638, yeah. Okay, cool. Let's maximize that. Send a pic in the chat. Right, okay, so guys, if you all are good with that, just give me a quick Genie chat, please and thanks. If you need me to re-explain anything, or if something not time back fail, let me know. There's not a problem, right? Oops, deleted. Sorry, which one?
You got overhead applies to job, the calculation overhead applies to year 11. Right, come back down.
Right, oh, thank you. Right, here.
And then under the calculation, the overhead cost for year 11, you got to change it also.
Yeah, thank you. Right. Yeah, so you see why I have to be careful copying and pasting. If you don't pay attention, you're leaving things that are not supposed to be there. All right, cool. Okay, cool. All right, and of course, if anybody has any other questions, observations, please let me know. All right, so I think we're in good time. We get to do the 2024 question. Oh, right, I forgot. Right, so I think I had to copy and paste this, and yeah, so you'll notice that the year is in the middle of the page. That's because I copied and pasted it because there was stuff on top of it that was irrelevant. All right, so we'll kind of take this one in pieces, right? But long story short, they want the cost of goods sold using ABC and the price for R10, right? So we'll see. Okay. Okay, so SS Law Firm uses an activity-based costing system. The following information pertains to 2 completed jobs pertaining to real estate law. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a service sector costing business as well, right? Which, like I said, we kind of have to do on the go, right? Because it kind of, we starting Kaizen now. Okay. Sorry, let me just send a message here. Right. Following information pertains to 2 completed jobs. Right, okay. So we have R10 and R11, work in progress. 1st of March 2023. So these are the costs brought forward from, I'm supposing, from February to March, right? And then costs and activities: direct materials, direct labor hours, research hours, machine hours. Okay. So of course these, hold on, let me get my little, right? So these things are the prime costs, and these things here are activity levels. One second. Right. Sorry. Right. Additional information. The firm uses a markup of 25% to price each job. Okay, cool. So we add up materials, labor, overhead, get that total, and add 25% onto it. 25% of itself onto itself. So the driver, the activity. It's interesting. Normally it's the activity first and the driver. So again, just be careful. Just know what you need to know. So regardless of the sequence or the order in which they give it to you, it wouldn't matter, right? So for processing, right, they use direct labor. For research, they use research hours, and for other overheads, they use machine hours. Okay, no problem. I could live with that. Amount of driver. So driver volume, okay, 20,000, 8,000, 2,500, and the costs. Okay, cool. So calculate the absorption rate. So when they say the absorption rates, they're talking about the activity rates for each one, right? So I use the word application, but the word absorption could be just as easily and correctly used there. So instead of overhead application rate, overhead absorption rate. That's actually what I normally used to say. I think the application came with the activities, because we were applying the activities based on their volume. Anyhow, so the first thing they want you to do is to basically calculate the application rates or the absorption rates for each activity, right? And then they wanted to calculate the cost of each of those jobs using ABC, right? Okay, so basically you're doing what we did in the previous questions, not the one just before, the two before that, right? You're calculating the application rates, you're calculating the overheads, and then the cost of each of those jobs based on the application rates for the overheads and the volume of the overhead each of them used. And then I think they wanted the selling price for R10. Yeah, well, do selling price for R10 and R11. So basically it'll be like the bid price. So I can give you about 7 to 8 minutes. So I don't want to go too much over or too much past 12. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to flick on the lights in the second classroom. against past paper questions. Who's there? Juliana. Yes. Julie came. Who she sat next to? Jair. Right. Hey Gabriel, sorry, I'm now seeing you. I did see you last week, actually in person too. Sorry, we didn't talk that much. Thanks for the support. All right. I'm going to starting because I want to make sure that we complete the question before time is up, right? And I'm going to use this one as a matter of fact. Let's put this one down again. Let me bring my chair up a little. Okay, cool. So we'll need this stuff initially. Okay, cool. So we are doing the 2024 paper 2, question 2, part B. And this is name of the company, SSS Law Firm. Same sign, subtract. Right. That's something I use my students to help remember what to do in simultaneous equations. Okay, so SSS law. So SSS law firm, right? Calculate of absorption rates, right? So let's change that to absorption rates. Okay, cool. So we have processing costs, research, and other. Right, so process, research, right, so we have 48,000, 36,000, and 12,000, and the drivers are 20,000, 8,000, and then 2,500. Right, okay. So the absorption rate. So activity cost. So, right. Yeah, driver. Amount of driver volume. That's fine. The activity cost, right. Processing cost, research, other. 48, 36, 12, 28, and 5. Right, 2.5, sorry. Right, 2.4, 4.5, 4.8. Processing, right, okay, cool. And then calculate the cost of goods sold for that. Right, okay, so we're going to do that. Overheads applied to hold on. They wanted the cost of goods sold for both of these jobs, right? So we need direct materials, direct labor, and overheads. Okay. I'm trying to think of a layout that would encompass both of them at the same time. That is efficient on space, but not okay. Apply to R10. So let's do R10 first, right? And then what I'll do is we'll make some room. R11. Okay. So shift cells up, right? Cool. So 2.4, 4.5, and then 4.8. Cool, right. So for right, so labor hour inspection is labor hours. No, inspection. Oh, I didn't change the headers. My bad. Wow. All right, cool. Right. So process, labor, research is research, and machine is other. Okay, cool. So 120, 100, and then 20, right? That's fine. And then calculation of jobs, sorry, things apply to that. So we got that, right? So better shift that down a little bit more. Whoa, how do you keep doing that? I don't understand. Right, okay, let's try that again now. Right, okay. Then we had 45, 36, and 150. All right, cool. Let me just double check that to be sure, right? The processing cost is labor hours, right? So 120 and 45. Research is research and other is that. Okay, cool. Okay, so we're looking good so far. Right, and of course, yeah, I'll do a total. All right, so what I'm gonna do, let me calculation of cost of goods sold for R10 and R11. Okay, cool. So R10, R11. Okay, so materials. 7,000, 2,300, 2,300, thank you very much. And overheads was 834, right? Okay, cool. For R11, you have 4,800, 1,600, and you have your 990. Right, cool. So let's total that. Okay, so that's what they want, right? The cost of goods sold for R10, R11 based on activity based, and the price, when they say the price, yeah, this for job R10. The firm uses a markup of 25% to price each job. Okay, cool. So markup 25%. Right, we'll just do both of them one time, right? Just for the sake of. Oh. All right, and then the price be equal to this item plus this item here. Okay, definitely wrong thing there. Okay, let's maximize that. Let's see if we could zoom out a little bit so the whole thing could be sent in one pic. Maybe not. Maybe we have to send 2 pics, but that's okay because we have the technology. Oh, sorry, I'm now seeing your photo. Photos. 2.4, 4.5, 4.8. 7, 8, 2, 3, right, da 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 da. Okay, 10, 1, 34, 7, 3, right, lovely. Brilliant. Okay, right, where are you guys? How did I get the total? Like what, for here and here? I just added going across. So just add going across and then add going across. Right, for price, oh, I added the cost plus the markup, right? So the total is cost plus the markup, sorry. That's okay? Is this too small? Right, okay, cool. All right, lovely. Nice, okay, lovely. All right, so ladies and gents, that's basically it for activity-based costing, to be honest. Again, if you want to delve into your text and pull up advantages, disadvantages, that kind of stuff, you feel free to do so, right? Especially because the paper, as you saw in a couple of instances, did ask you to describe, right, a system other than traditional costing. It wasn't this one, where was it? Describe a named other than that, which would be more suited for that. And it was only 3 marks, so, you know, but I want you to have 3 marks with the notes, right? And again, you could always ask AI, whatever AI you have, if you use ChatGPT, if you have Microsoft and you use Copilot, if you have Google and you use Gemini, if you have X and you use Grok, whatever the case is, right? I'm sure they have others as well, right? Some are free and some are good, but always cross-check what your AI tells you, because when we were doing overheads, the different methods like step down and direct and repeated distribution last year for the simultaneous equations, when I asked, it gave me one thing to do. I was like, oh, that's too easy. And then I was like, but that's not what I saw last year. And when I did a Google search instead, I found the correct way to do it. So had I not cross-checked what AI said with the Google search, and I opened multiple tabs and got multiple examples from different sources, right? That I would have taught you the wrong thing, right? Thankfully, that didn't happen. Anyhow, folks, that's about it for today. If anybody has any questions you didn't get to ask during class, or you want to send any pics of the solutions, feel free. I am going to send you a PDF with the notes from today, the solutions, and solutions from previous years' questions that are also on the PDF with the questions, right? So you could always use it as extra practice. Anyhow, guys, have a good weekend. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
All right, never mind. Later. All right. All right, have a good weekend, guys. Bye.